One of the reasons my heart goes out to Jonathan Suzilam is because of what it feels like dealing with, as a parent, dealing with a child who has experienced SA. The difficulties, the upheaval in the family, how difficult it is to manage emotions, yours and theirs, and just how helpless you can feel as a parent when you see that your child is going through this. Now, I've worked with survivors of SA for many years. I write course for Christian women who've experienced SA. I've run my course many times, and other people are going to be running my course in different parts of the world. And so I wanted to speak to how, just some help for parents who are navigating this, because I know when something like this happens, many other people are triggered by these events. And so if you're a parent navigating the heartbreaking reality that your child has experienced SA, this video is for you. You're not alone, and there is a way that you can support your child through this difficulty. Now, I want to offer some ways that you can help that. So stay with me throughout this video, and I'm going to do that. I want to also just acknowledge that it's a very challenging thing, very difficult time. Sometimes children who experience SA can regress in their behavior. Stages that they've passed through, developmental stages that they've passed through, they might regress to those stages, like bedwetting and tantrums or crying for, we think, no reason, because children often can't explain how they're feeling. They don't have emotional language to say, I feel sad today, I'm triggered, or I feel ashamed. They don't have that kind of language. And so oftentimes it comes out in behavior. So if you're a parent who's been navigating this really hard reality, I just want to let you know that it's not in your head. It's not something that you've imagined. It really is challenging. But I also want to encourage you and let you know that there are people who understand and is able to support you through this difficult, challenging period. And I've heard that Baby Lamb therapy is not working for her right now. And so they've taken a step back. And one of the things I've always said to parents who call me to ask if I work with children is that when we are emotionally healthy, when we are okay, then our children sometimes will be okay too. Because as we learn how to regulate our emotions, we can teach them to regulate theirs. So if you're supporting a child who's experienced SA, they're not in therapy and their behavior seems disruptive, or they're really struggling, if you are able to manage your fear and your anger and your frustration, then you can do what we call co-regulate, because as you take deep breaths, as you put the music on to be calming, as you go to prayer, as you go for walks, as you drink water and do things that are nurturing, then you're teaching your child how to do that. And you can do those things with them. If you notice that, if you study your child and know what it looks like when they're frustrated or they're angry or upset, or they're in pain emotionally, their face might be dull, their eyes might be dark, they might be withdrawing a little bit. If you see those things, then you can do things with them that helps them to regulate their emotions, even though they don't have the language to tell you and explain to you what is happening. And, I know I'm speaking to parents with small children, but sometimes they're parents with teenagers that might be going through this, who might not be able to still articulate how they're feeling. Some of these same things will work for your teenage child as well. So what we want to do is, some of the effects that you might see of SA might be fear and shame, guilt. There might be suppressed anger that might come out in, it might be directed towards you or towards another parent or a caregiver or siblings. There might be depression, as I talked about before, that isolating that they might do. It might affect appetite and sleep patterns. So all of those things are really important to, if you see those changes that is happening, then it's likely that the SA is impacting them in this way, right? So you want to be gentle as compassionate as you can be. You want to be kind. And even though your child might not be ready for therapy right now, it's really important that you get support. So because it's really demanding emotionally. So sometimes they might have trouble sleeping, as I said earlier, or nightmares. They might complain of physical symptoms like tummy ache, their chest is hurting. They might not want to go to school as a result of these aches and pains. They might have recurring pain in places that the doctors can't find. Some of these things are as a result, okay? So every child, however, responds differently. Some might withdraw while some might act out. What is important is that you study the child and know the changes in behavior, and so you're meeting it with the right strategy. But as I said, when you see it, it's best if you don't go into anger or frustration if they're angry and frustrated. Even if the anger might seem destructive, if you manage that emotion for yourself, your place of calm is a beautiful place of calm for your child too. And that's really helpful. So one of the things we do is normalize that emotion. You're like angry, I'll be angry too. You seem sad. We want to name it. And sometimes I know Christian parents really struggle with this. We do not want to call it anything other than what it is. You seem really angry, or confused, or sad, or are you struggling with depression? Are you feeling low? Are you anxious today? How can I help with your anxiety? Here are some things that will help. Let us do these things together. And you're doing it alongside them and teaching them how to do it. And so they learn how to do it themselves. Okay. Also, we want to do some things to ensure safety, physical safety of our children. We want to reinforce the idea of it wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It's really important because people who experience SA often blame themselves. So that's why the language is important that we use, the language that is going to be validating of how they're feeling and validating of what has happened and not being dismissive in any way. But we also want to encourage them and let them know that it wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. That's really, you might have to say that 1,000 times. Say it as many times as you need to say it. If the child is in any way unsafe, you need to remove them immediately. They need to be safe. So prioritize physical, emotional safety. So the child can't have contact with the person who the alleged perpetrator. They can't have contact, whether or not it's gone through the courts or not. Here's some things that we deal with, the reality of some of the things that we deal with. And we might see this in the case with Jonathan and Susie Lamb's daughter and the alleged abuse and whomever the perpetrator is. Here is something. Sometimes the courts, the police and the justice system might investigate and they might not prosecute. Now, this does not mean that SA didn't happen, and it doesn't mean that your child's behavior won't be just as I described earlier in this video. And one of the real things that families have had to live with and support children through is that going through the justice system doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's going to go to prison or somebody's going to be have to take responsibility. It doesn't mean that. But the pain, the fallout of it, the victim still has to deal with that. And it's really unfair. It's really unfair. But sometimes those are some of the things that, people who are healing have had to live with. Some people have had to fight in the justice system for many, many years without resolution, without acknowledgement, go through the pain of testifying and all of that, and people still would not take responsibility. If you are a parent in this position, I am really sorry that you have been failed by different people and the justice system. So, but it's really important to still prioritize safety. Whether they are cleared by the police or not, that disclosure means you prioritize the safety of your child. And that's what some people are saying about the Lambs, that you did not, why were you still texting them? Why were you still playing? Why were you still having contact? And that's where spiritual abuse comes in. When spiritual abuse is coupled with SA and in spiritual abusive environment, then people will not step away. But I want to encourage you If you have had this disclosure, it's time to do safety. Prioritize safety, physical safety, emotional safety. Remove the child from the place where they can continue to be harmed. Report the abuse if it's not been reported yet, and seek medical care early. Seek intervention early. Also, that's why it's important for parents to get support, because your calm will help the child be calm too. You're calm. If you show anger and panic, it will be discouraging for them, because they don't want you to be angry or panicking. They don't want to hurt you. So what the child will do is to not share anything to look after you. I can't let mommy be upset because, this makes her angry and I don't want her to be angry. So it's really important that you are calm so that they're not having to look after you, and they can be looked after by you. So you seek adult support in other places. Okay. Use phrases, as I said, like, I believe you and it's not your fault. And you might have to say that as many times as you need to say it. It's going to be important. Report the incident if it's not been reported yet. So here's how to support your child while they're going through this. Listen without judgment. Let them share their experience at their pace, their time, the details that they want to provide. Avoid asking things like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Why were you there? Why didn't you walk somewhere else? Why were you wearing that? Why didn't you scream? Those are things to avoid saying. Those are blaming the victim. So we want to listen without judgment, and those things will be judgmental. Validate their feelings. It's okay to be scared and upset and angry. I'm here for you, and I'm going to support you through this. When a victim discloses, being believed is such a massive relief for them, because every victim worry about not being believed. And if your child take a long time to disclose, they were worried that maybe they wouldn't be believed. If your child disclosed early, I think that's an amazing plus, because the earlier we get help for people who experience trauma, the earlier the impact is less. Okay. So provide physical comfort in the way that will resonate with the child. So that might be hugs and closeness, and keep them close to you. Let them know that you're looked after. This might change your life. It might change your life. You might have to do things differently. You might not be able to go to every church service, every retreat. You might not need to leave that. You might not be able to leave them for the first couple of months or so after the disclosure. So be prepared for that change. But it does change after a while. They settle in and they're okay, because now they're very sure that you're going to be there with them, because you've validated their feelings. You've been non-judgmental. You've provided closeness and comfort. You devise a routine that is predictable and stable. They need predictability and stability. And you have done that. And that's going to be really helpful for them. Seek professional help. I've said that before. Seek professional help for you. Seek professional help for your child. Seek spiritual guidance that is going to be validating and encouraging and not shaming. And those things are really important as you do that. Look after yourself, parents. Acknowledge your own emotions. Acknowledge your sadness, your guilt, your own fears. Cry in your closet when you need to. Step away when they're triggered, and that might trigger you, because you're seeing, as parents, we want to look after our children. We want to be everywhere. We want to keep them from being hurt. And unfortunately, we can't always do that. We can't always keep them from being hurt. So, look after yourself, seek support for yourself, look after your health. It's really important. And, look after yourself, look after any relationships that you have, any other relationships that you have, whether it's your marriage or other children. Look after your relationships, because SA is such a big thing that it might be consuming and take over, and you want to look after those important relationships so that you can be safe. I want to end with a word of encouragement. Healing is possible. Healing is possible. As I said, I've worked with many women over the years who have experienced SA. I know healing is possible. It's really good when we're doing healing early. So if your child has disclosed early, as hard as it is, it's good. It's best thing for her and for him, for you, for the family. Healing is possible. While SA is devastating and the impact will be lifelong, healing is possible where we're managing it in much better ways, day by day by day. And after many years, you will notice that they're managing and they can do it. In those early phases, it might seem all consuming and it might be very difficult, but healing is possible. Below this video, I'm going to put hotlines that you can call if somebody has this close to you. These will be UK based. I'm sure wherever are in the world, there'll be places that you can ring to report if it's the first time the disclosure is made, that you can report. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to our channel and share the videos with those who you think will benefit.